Hi, I'm Lorna and welcome to my channel, Thread and Yarn. If you haven't been here before, it's a space where I talk about the clothes I've made, both sewing and knitting, and I also do a bit of quilting and natural dyeing. So I often like to do monthly updates about things that I've made or mended or ideas I've got. So that's what this one's going to be about. I've had quite a busy month after a spell of being sort of occupied with various projects and not having time to sew and knit and create. I've had quite a productive June, which has been really fun. And I've had some of the ideas of things that I've made in my head for at least a year. And I'm really happy that I've had time to actually get on with making them, because I think a lot of them are pieces that I've wanted in my wardrobe for a long time, that I think I'll get lots of wear out of and have got lots of wear out of already. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. So I'm going to go through some of those pieces and also give you some updates about things that I've been up to, including the recent sewing retreat here in Stroud and also the Great British Fibre Festival, which I went to as an exhibitor at the start of June. And then I thought I would talk a little bit about ideas I've got sort of going forward sort of through the summer, and try not get ahead of myself and start thinking about autumn, which is what I end up looking forward to all year round. So yeah, it's just going to be a bit of a general update. I'll also touch on some of the things that I'm growing in my allotment, especially the dye flowers and things like that, because I had a really nice response when I posted my last video about my allotment and the dye plants and herbs that I'm growing there, so that was really lovely. So I'll talk a bit about that as well. Yeah, I think that's everything. We'll see. I always end up remembering stuff halfway and it ends up being a bit longer than I think it's going to be. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I'd love to know as well how your making has been over the last few months. I find that I often don't have as much sort of inspiration to sit down and sew when the weather's nicer. I'm often juggling wanting to be outside with wanting to create. I think when the weather's nice, not that it's been particularly reliably nice, but I often want to be out in the garden and at my allotment. And it's also, the time of year where those things demand attention. And even if you're not a grower, people are often outside, seeing friends or doing stuff. So sometimes it feels like there's less time for making. And I guess that's one of the things that, why we associate making and stitching with the winter, is when the lights are longer and darker, and it's a nice way to occupy yourself and to feel cozy. But yes, I have felt quite inspired the last month regardless, and I feel like I'm starting to get some of the sort of inspiration back and some of the energy and time back, because I've had a lot of other big projects which have been delightful but have sort of finished, so it's given me time to sort of reconnect with my making, which I'm really happy about. So I thought I would start off talking about some of my recent makes, including what I'm wearing now. So if you follow me on Instagram, and I think I might have also shown you a bit of this, or maybe I've already shown you it in my last video. Apologies if I have, but I love it, so I'll talk about it again. Is this green rota cardigan. Now I've been making this for a while. I bought the yarn when I went to Copenhagen to visit some family just before Christmas. And yeah, it just seemed like the perfect spring greeny, yellowy colour to me. And I just could really imagine myself wearing it with lots of my outfits. I think I've often, when I think about my colours that I wear and the colours of my clothes, I think in my head that there's a lot of darker browns and dark greens, but when I look back at my Instagram, which is quite a useful log for me of the clothes that I've made, there's quite a lot of like desaturated lighter tones in there, and looking behind me as well, I think that's similar to what I've been making, so that's always interesting to me. But I think either way, this cardigan's quite versatile and can go with darker things or lighter things. And I naturally go for quite sort of soft, naturally toned colours, because I think that's what kind of suits my skin tone and my sort of seasonal colour palette. Yeah, so that's kind of why I chose this green. And I love this cardigan. I've got so much wear out of it. It's the Rota cardigan by Anna Schwarzwald, who's a Swedish designer. I think she does some sewing, but it's mostly knitwear, and her stuff is just lovely. It's practical, but also just lovely shapes and well thought out patterns. So I'm very happy I made this. It's got a lot of buttons on, but I chose them to be a fairly good match. They're from Merchant & Mills, and they're cotton buttons. And I'm wearing it with a toile, a little practice run of the Hinterland dress. So I made with my friend recently, we had a little sewing day, and we both made a little top of the Hinterland dress bodice so that we could practice fitting it to our shape before making the dress. So I made this little top. I'll take my cardigan off and show you. I made the size 8, I think that's right. And I graded, yes that is right, I graded to a 6 at the waist because I didn't fall exactly on the size charts. If it's useful, my measurements at the moment are 35 inches around the bust and 27.5 at the waist, 38.5 at my hips. So I often find that I need to grade out, especially for my hips, but sometimes for my bust as well. And I wanted to really test the shape here, because sometimes I have to do a bit of a bust adjustment, but it fits really nicely. There's side darts here. It fits nicely across the back. There's no sort of drag lines over here. That's where I'd be looking if it was too tight across the bust. And it's not. It does have ease around the waist here, but that is part of the pattern. What I am thinking though is for the dress, you can add a waist tie, but I'm thinking I might just add a little dart from here down to here, just to have a dress with a slightly more, so yeah, I'll probably fold them that way, but a slightly more fitted bodice. I think that could be fun. I'd have to have buttons down the skirt, or at least some way of opening up the skirt when it joined. But I don't have many fitted bodice things, so I think that could be fun. A different shape, and then quite a voluminous skirt, because that's what I like. But I made it in the scrap cotton I had left over from the skirt that I showed you in my last video, and I just popped these little wooden buttons on that I've had for ages. But there's some really nice construction details in the Hinterland dress. It's facing around the neckline, which is then pressed over it and stitched down. The button placket is lovely and neat. Some nice finishing details. So yeah, it was a breeze really, and I'm looking forward to making a dress. I'll show you the fabric I've got in mind. It's a bit of a different colour for me. Let me just grab it. So I've got one bit, and then I've got a bigger bit. So the other bit's on the washing line actually. So hopefully the colour's coming up. It's looking a bit more saturated on screen than it is in real life. It's a sort of greeny blue, quite dusky. And I don't really have anything this colour, so I think it would be nice wear something a bit different. I've got sort of grey blue eyes. My hair's gotten quite light in the sun. Always seems to get bleached. Yeah, so I think that colour is going to suit me, and I'm thinking I'm going to make it just like this, and then maybe with some like underbust darts, and I'm wondering about making it a long sleeve one with them quite a gathered skirt. Now I've been watching a lot of Outlander, or rewatching it, lots of season 1 when they're in Scotland, and it's great, apart from all the harrowing stuff that happens, but all the scenery and the outfits are like beautiful, and I think I might be a bit inspired by that. So I'm going to try and make sure it doesn't look too costumey, but that it's got, I mean, I love that kind of look, and I love having a big full skirt, but I think having a more fitted bodice may be important for balance if I'm doing long sleeves. And because it's got a hint of a waist, it's got some shaping rather than it being like the zero waist gather dress, which doesn't have any of that sort of bodice shaping. I think making it more fitted might be good. And I'm also thinking that if I don't make the skirt incredibly gathered, just a bit gathered, that in the winter I could always put a more gathered skirt over the top, and then the skirt of this one will be acting like a sort of layer, like a petticoat. And I think that could be really fun, and then I could add extra volume if I wanted, with, I don't know, another neutral linen or something. Maybe I'm getting a bit too costumey with it, but I really love wearing stuff like that, and I love layering up, so I feel like it could be a cool piece. And I'm quite excited about the Hinterland dress as a pattern. So yeah. The other thing I made them yesterday. One of the things that was on my list was making some bob pants. So I sewed them up, and it was a really, really quick, enjoyable, easy sew, and I pretty much haven't taken them off since. So I spoke about wanting to make the bob pants, I think, in my autumn video when I talked about my autumn plans, and I just never got around to it. And I had this skirt that I've done a test for somebody as like it was a zero waist skirt, not the same designer as a zero waist gather dress, somebody else, and it didn't require any cutting, so everything was just folded and stitch. It was a sweet design, but I just didn't think I was going to wear it, and I didn't wear it. So I unpicked it yesterday and then cut these bob pants out and stitched them up, and I've already gotten more wear out of them than I did the skirt. So I did have a couple of mishaps with the unpicker and the linen, so I mended it, but it's fine. Yeah, so I'll show you these, but I absolutely love the shape of them. I've got some other elasticated trousers like the Pomona pants, but these just come higher up on the waist, and I've got quite a long body, so having something that really does have a nice deep high rise and properly sits at and above my natural waist is great. And I can finally wear this tiny little, way too short for any other trousers, Hinterland top. So, and I love the colours together. It just feels like a lovely autumn palette. I feel like it's very Hobbit core, this outfit, which makes me very happy. As you will know, if you've watched me before, I'm quite a Lord of the Rings fan and a particular fan of Bilbo Baggins' style. I think he would like this outfit, so that makes me happy. And I think it looks good with the cardigan as well. So yeah, not much to say about the bob pants other than I really like them, and I can definitely see myself making some more. It also made me think, because I think I'd said before that I really wanted to make a lot of sort of gathered skirts for the summer and autumn, and well, you can layer them up in the winter and spring as well, of course. But I haven't really found myself making them, and I think one of the reasons was I wasn't sure. I do a lot of cycling around town, and I wasn't really sure if I'd end up wearing them because it would be a bit annoying wearing a skirt. But having something like these bob pants makes me feel like I've got the volume on my legs and around my hips, but I can still move around in them. They still feel nice and practical. So that was interesting to me. So I think I might switch out some of my skirt plans for things like this. I'm quite keen to try the ninny culottes as well, because they really have got a lot of volume, and I've seen people wearing them and thought they were wearing a skirt, but actually they've got culottes on, which is great, so I could definitely cycle in those. Have you made those? I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the ninny culottes, because I know lots of people have made them, and I've been thinking about giving them a try for a while. So yeah, let me know if you've had a go at making those, because I'm quite keen to try that soon. I do have some skirt making plans still though. I have been drafting a just very simple gathered skirt with a bit of a ruffle on the bottom with some inseam pockets, and I thought it'd be fun to do a tutorial on YouTube. So it's not something else to sell as a pattern, it's quite a basic skirt, but I thought if anybody's new to sewing or just wants a nice like refresher or a simple project, it might be a nice thing to follow along. So look out for that over the next month or two. Yes, what else? So I've got some other makes behind me. I could talk through those. This was also part of my plans on my autumn makes video, so I'm finally getting to them. It is the Chloe Bias skirt by Soften Studio, a designer who I love. She's so lovely, Melody, and her patterns are just great. I've made this one before, and I really wanted to make it in this Merchant Mills checked linen, so I do quite like seeing a check on the bias. I didn't have quite enough fabric, so I had to do some pattern matching. I might be repeating myself again. I think I did talk about this in my last video. Sorry. But yeah, I've gotten wear out of this one as well. And this one I definitely haven't shown you because I've made it in the last 2 weeks. It is also by Melody from Soften Studio. It is the wind dress. Now, Melody kindly sent me the wind dress as it was so sweet, just as a thank you for having made quite a few of her patterns and spoken about them on here, which she hasn't asked me to do at all. So she sent me this pattern when she released it, and I finally got around to making it, and I love it. I've worn it loads. It's a really simple, like tunic shaped top, and then a big gathered skirt, but it's got this lovely waistband drawstring, which helps bring it in at the waist, and if you want it to, or you can leave it quite relaxed. It's just, the construction of it's just beautiful. It's got a really lovely facing on the inside, which leaves the bodice nice and simple, and then it's got a little back with an open back with a little button and button loop. Yeah, it was delightful making it. There are some inseam pockets in here somewhere. There we go. I can see myself getting loads of use out of this, and I'm sure I'll make another. I've worn it quite a lot already. It's in a Merchant Mills cotton, I think it's called Tangerine Dreams, and it's quite lightweight. I've worn it on when we had our very brief mini heat wave here, and I found myself so much more comfortable than if I'd been wearing like t-shirts and denim shorts. Having this breezy cotton, that was a learning curve for me. I was hoping that's how I would feel this summer if I was wearing things like this, because I've never really felt fully comfortable in like tight t-shirts and shorts and things. Just never really felt like me and didn't really enjoy it. So I've been experimenting with feeling more comfortable in summer clothes, and I think that's one of the things I love about making, is it gives me the chance to sort of experiment and create what's in my head, even if I can't find it in a shop. And I felt a lot more comfortable as a result, so that feels great. Yeah, love that dress. I'll pop a little video up of me wearing it as well, full length one. But my friend came to stay with me here in Stroud and brought her boyfriend, her new boyfriend. I think they've been dating for a while now, but it was my first time meeting him because I don't live here. And I wore this all weekend. We had a proper Stroud weekend. We went to the market, which is this lovely farmers market, and then walked to the Long Table, which is an amazing like social initiative that allows you to pay forward for meals for anybody in the community who needs a reduced or free meal. There's loads of other like social enterprises on this site as well. They're having a bit of trouble at the moment being kicked out of their location. So if you're in the Stroud area and you want a really tasty meal and to browse the furniture bank, I think there's some like kids' toys and a bike shop there as well, then go check out the Long Table. It's delicious and lovely, and it's right next to an old Stroud. There's loads of old mills everywhere, and it's on the sort of site of one of those, right by the canal. So you can walk all the way from town to the Long Table along the canal. It's gorgeous, and I've actually seen otters there, which seems mad, but it makes me very happy. Anyway, a make that I don't feel as comfortable in, that I've also had in my head for a while, and reminding me that sometimes things just don't work out, and certainly don't work out how you expect, and that you're always learning no matter how long you've been sewing, is this zero waste gather dress. Now, looking at it on the camera, because I can see it, I think it looks really pretty, and I feel like it should look really nice. It's a zero waste gather dress, which I've made countless times. I've taught it lots of times, but I've never made it in viscose. I've always made it in cotton or linen or hemp or a woven fabric that's got a bit of structure, sometimes a bit of drape, but not drape like viscose. Viscose is a very like slippery, drapey fabric, which I don't use very often because I don't really like, I don't particularly like wearing things that are quite figure hugging or tight, and sometimes viscose is associated with that kind of pattern. I also personally don't find it as breathable as cotton or linen. Right, I don't think it is, and I just like to feel like my clothes are breathable and quite robust, and this is a bit more of a dressy fabric, I guess. Nothing against viscose. I've also seen people make viscose zero waste gather dresses, and it looks beautiful on them, but something about this and my body shape and maybe the feel of it against my skin just wasn't right. I'll try it on and show you. I did have lots of lovely supportive messages on Instagram when I posted it in my stories, saying that it looked nice and that it's getting used to something new, and I think there's definitely a part of that, but I don't think that I like it more or as much as, I'll get it actually, as this linen one, which I wear so much, and you've probably seen a ton, and just holding it here already, it makes me feel so happy. Like, this dress brings me a lot of confidence. It was one of the things that started making me feel more comfortable, with positive ease. And if I was going to choose which one to wear for the evening, where am I going? If I was going to decide which one to wear generally, it would always be this one. So I feel like I don't just want to amass things in my wardrobe that aren't serving a purpose, that I don't feel like I'm going to wear, and this is definitely in that camp. I recently did a little like closet sale. I sold some pieces that I loved but just didn't wear, that I wanted to see in new homes for people that would actually wear them, or maybe would even use the fabric from them. So that felt great, and that was inspired by well, I've been considering it for a while, but some of the ladies who came to my sewing retreat in May thought it'd be a good idea, so they kind of galvanised me, and I eventually did that. And that felt really good, because it's hard when you've got a hobby and a passion, which by its nature is consumable. You're using up fabric and materials, and at some point you could end up with loads of clothes that ends up feeling a bit wasteful, or like you're not using them. And I want to be quite mindful about my making and not over consume. But I also think it's important as part of the creative process to try out new things, and all those things are going to work. And it's a balance between, you don't want to make yourself feel guilty for using up resources. At the end of the day, we're still making our own clothes or things for our home, and we're not, as a result, putting a burden on the global waste of fast fashion clothing, and we're not sort of over consuming through shop bought items. It's still a lot more of a slower process and a lot more considered, especially if you can choose what fibres you make from. So I tried not to make myself feel too guilty about that and accept it's part of the process. But re-sharing those things with other people who would love them and wear them makes me very happy. And I feel like that is a way for me to feel like I can have cap the size of my wardrobe, but still have space for experimentation. Also, our style changes, our lives change. I used to go out a lot more, and now I've got a much more sort of outdoorsy, practical life. So I want things that yeah, are practical as well as beautiful. But I don't always have a place in my wardrobe for too many like fancy dresses. So I don't think I'll get much wear out of this. I think it's well made and it's pretty. I was inspired by Give Her Pockets, who looked awesome in her version. I'll put a picture up. But I think because there's a bit of a difference between my bust, the ratio between my bust, waist and hips, when I wear slinky things, it kind of falls down off my bust and goes straight to my hips, and I feel like I look a bit like a column in the way that I don't when I wear linen that's got a bit more of a natural movement about it. I felt like it as well when I made that lilac Hallen dress, which I talk about in this video about I think it's about wedding guest dresses and things like that. I had the same experience, and that was also viscose. So yeah, learnt my lesson. But if anybody feels like they would get wear out of this, or would like it, I mean, it is really pretty, and I have made it well. It doesn't have pockets, by the way, because I didn't have enough fabric to make pockets. But you could always cut the side seam and add your own inseam pockets in. But yeah, if anyone would like this, just let me know. It'd be lush if you could cover the cost of the fabric, which wasn't too much. But I just want it to be worn by somebody who would enjoy it, because I can just see it sitting in my wardrobe forever. Yeah, let me know, send me a message on Instagram or comment below. So one of the other things I've been making lately is this knitted bifurca top. It's by Teti's Knit Garden, and I've struggled to put it down, to be honest. I love the design, the colour work is gorgeous. I think all of her designs, I think she studied botany, and they're all inspired by her studies and by plants. And it's so pretty. It's a really interesting construction. You start from the top and you basically cast on this big circle, and through the raglan increases it becomes this sort of diamond shape, which I can't really show you now because I've started doing the body. It's lovely. It's so unique, and I just can't wait to wear it. I did struggle a bit with choosing a size. The size range gaps are quite big, so I think there was like maybe 8 to 10 centimeters between sizes, and I was right bang in the middle. I spent a lot of time looking on Ravelry to see what other people's makes look like on them and what size they'd made, which is Ravelry's great for that. And I was between a size 2 and a 3, and I decided to make a size 2 because I thought I'd probably be wearing it over trousers like these or over dresses. I didn't want it to be too baggy. It is a little bit small, but it does fit me fine. And I think once I've blocked it, that will really help. But I will try it on as it is so far and show you. You can see it fits fine, but I think I might relax out some of it in the blocking. It's then just ribbing down. I think next time I would add in some extra rows in these panels here, because I've got such a long body. It will end up being a lot of ribbing, and these are high-waisted trousers. But again, it's another great, yeah, I love these bob pants because they do come up so high. I can wear it with things like this. Generally I thought I wouldn't wear this top with trousers because I thought there would end up being a bit of a gap, because I didn't want to make the ribbing really long. But with these bobs it wouldn't have to be that long. And I think it'll be great over dresses it's very, very warm because the colour works. I think in the autumn as well, it's going to be a great sort of core warmer. I love these colours. They're the De Rerum Natura Ulysses yarn in Salt and Pepper and Potimarron, I think is the orange. But I could definitely get these colours with natural dyes. I'm thinking of my next one. I've got some Shetland sport weight yarn coming, and I'm thinking I might either do quite a dark one, maybe like an indigo base, with a dusky sort of pinky purpley madder colour work, or a really, really deep purpley reddy madder base with a lighter madder or even a woad light blue colour work. I think that'll look really pretty and maybe a bit more wintry and spooky. I think I'm going to get so much wear out of this. I'm really, really excited. I've been knitting it at every opportunity, and yeah, it is a little on the tighter side though, so I think a bit of a block will help. It's perfectly comfortable, but I think it will look better just ever so slightly more relaxed. I also took this knit up when I was celebrating the summer solstice with my partner. We walked all the way up to one of the commons around Stroud. Stroud has sort of 5 valleys around it, and corresponding beautiful common lands which look over the valleys. And I wanted to see the summer solstice sunset, and luckily it was a beautiful day. So we walked all the way up to the top of the common, had a little picnic for dinner, and I knitted on this beautifully appropriate botanical and orange by Furka vest while the sun went down, and it was just a really special, lovely time. So it felt, yeah, very appropriate. It's a beautiful pattern. I'm really, really keen to knit more of hers. There's the jumper of hers as well that I think I'm going to knit in my own naturally dyed yarn as a sample, because I've got a few more yarn festivals coming up in the autumn. I can't remember the name of the jumper now though, but I will pop a picture up here. But again, I'm actually thinking about similar colourways to what I just described for this. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'll take this off. The other thing that I've been knitting recently is a sample knit for a lovely natural dyer and pattern designer called Annabelle Williams, who does beautiful naturally dyed yarn. And it's a new pattern of hers in her wool called the 7 Side Mitts. She lives not too far away from me near the Forest of Dean and near the Severn River. So this is inspired by the twists and turns of the Severn River, and she's got a bit of wrist pain, I think, so I'm just helping her out with some samples in exchange for some yarn, because I love her yarn. And yeah, it's going to be a beautiful mitten. I'm going to knit a pair for myself afterwards, I think. It's gorgeous, but this pattern of hers is going to come out soon. But I've been knitting this as well. I think it'd be so warm and lovely in the winter. So I've been working on those 2 knitted things, and I think that's it on the knitted front. I've had a busy time doing lots of natural dyeing as well, because I released my fallow sock pattern, I think it was just before the summer solstice, I released it in mid-June, and I released the wildflower inspired colourways for my first naturally dyed yarn collection at the same time, and that was wonderful to do. Yeah, I had orders come in which I couldn't really believe, and it made me really happy to know people were going to be knitting with my naturally dyed yarn. A lot of the colours come from plants in my garden or my allotment, and yeah, it felt lovely to have designed this sort of wildflower and herb inspired range to go with my wildflower inspired sock. So I've still got some of them left. I thought I'd show you some of them. Let me find them. So I still need to skein this one up, but this is the colourway Concoction, and it is a dusky sort of purple at one side and a dusky creamy grey on the other, and it's got hints of sort of gold and deep brown throughout. Show you twisted up. And it's probably my favourite. I think, yeah, there you go, you can see the colours together now. It just really looked witchy to me when I rinsed this one. I was trying to think of a witchy but sort of a herby name as well, so I went with Concoction. I don't know if I ever showed you, but here's another fallow sock sample that I knitted for the recent Great British Fibre Festival there's the original. They look quite different in the variegated yarn, but I think it's quite fun. So this is called Tincture 2, a similarly inspired name to concoction. It's got a yellowy orange base with deep sort of rusty reds and purples. That's a nice deep purple inside, and it just really reminded me of when you drop in different things to make a tincture and you see the colour sort of like if you were to put some ink in water, how it sort of splays out. That colourway really reminded me of that. And I have foxglove, which foxgloves were just blooming loads on my allotment at the time, and there was quite sort of a peachy pink base to them, but lots of them had deep inky spots and red and gold bits. So that's foxglove. There's vervain, which is a grey and lilac sort of variegated skein, inspired by the sort of lilac-y vervain flowers. And this is walnut, dyed with walnut. A nice warm, oh, it smells good, nice warm rich brown. These are all plastic-free sock yarns as well. So they're just a really robust fleece, corridor fleece. And I've knitted lots of socks in them. They don't need any plastic or nylon. They're just naturally robust and will sort of felt and protect the heel by itself. This is Achillea. I've got some sort of coral coloured Achillea in my garden, so that's inspired by that one. Lots of the variegated colourways sold out. I do have some other things as well, like this was dyed with pomegranate husks. It's come out this lovely, rich, warm, yellowy brown, so I called it honey. And this is a BFL DK, which I've dyed to go with my folklore hood pattern. It's what I knitted my blue one in. It's super soft and lovely. And I've got the same colours of that yarn, but in this Airedale 4-ply, which is a lovely, lofty 4-ply. I just think would make a beautiful t-shirt or a shawl. I think it'd be just really stunning. That's in the colourway honey as well. So if nobody gets that, I might actually knit that up for me. Yeah, there's some other bits as well, but I won't keep going on. But I just really, really loved creating these. And I think they're just quite reflective of the palette that was around at the time. And I'm already starting to plan a more slightly like darker, witchier one for August, for autumn and winter. I've got this was from Madder and Soda Ash, so I might do some more sort of deep colour bases as well. Because, standing on things now. Yes, because I've got some more festivals coming up. There's a Tetbury Wool Fair in October and also a Stitch Fest in Devon in November. But I thought I could quickly tell you a bit about the wool festival I went to at the start of June. It was in Cold Harbour Mill in Devon, and I took my yarn and my knitting themed cards with me. It was lovely. It was in this old mill, and there were all the old like mill machinery was still there, and they actually ran it on steam while we were there on the second day of the fair. And I could see the building was kind of vibrating with the hum of it, and I could see all of this steam coming up as the machines were pumping. And my partner took over my stall for me for a bit so I could have a look around. So I took a few shots, which I can show you as well. But it was really, really beautiful to be in like an old working mill. And they still mill their own yarn there now, Cold Harbour Mill. And it went well. And I think one of the things I loved the most about it, even though I had this tiny little stall, was meeting people in real life and having some really wonderful conversations. It was lovely to meet everybody, but I met some people in particular that I just felt like I really connected with, and I'm still sort of in contact with now, which is lovely. And that was really special, and I just felt like I met some really lovely kindred spirits who were really interested in the work, and I loved hearing about their experiences as well, and it just felt very, yeah, very special. And I'm so glad I had such a lovely time and met some really wonderful people, so it went very well. So the other unbelievably delightful thing I've done recently is, about a month and a half ago, was run the first Thread and Yarn sewing retreat. So we did it in my friend's house, Lucia's house here in Stroud. She's got part of a wonderful 18th century manor house. Some parts are older, I think. And we had 2.5 days of sewing the zero waste gather dress together. There were 5 absolutely lovely guests. So if you're watching, it was delightful to meet you. Judy, Vivian, Felicia, Ali and Leslie I already knew. It was lovely to spend more time with and get to know better. So we had such a nice time. I think everybody was very different but seemed to bond really well. I think it was such a peaceful pace and location that everybody seemed to really sort of settle in to the space well, and really took their time with making 5 absolutely stunning and very different zero waste gather dresses. So I didn't manage to capture everybody's, but I've put up either a photo or a video of the ones that I took a picture of, and yeah, we just had such a special time. My mum actually made all of the food. Some of it was from my garden, although it was in May, so it was sort of what we call the hungry gap before the crops are ready. But she did a wonderful job making lots of homemade delicious food. So on the first day it was really sunny, so we were able to sit outside on Lucia's patio in the garden. We had elderflower cordial, and I think I made a quiche from veg in my garden, and some homemade bread. And then on the next day it was a bit more blustery and grey, so we had a nice stew in Lucia's beautiful red room. And yeah, lots of cosy cups of tea and cake, and having a lovely time and making friends. So it was a joy to teach everybody, and I was really amazed and blown away by how comfortable everybody seemed, and including me, and it felt like we'd known each other for longer. And I feel like I was not the only one who felt a little bit bereft when it ended. So yeah, it was a delightful experience for a first retreat, and it seemed like everybody else felt the same. So yeah, thank you for coming if you're watching. And Lucia and I are already planning the next one for probably February time. It's going to be a real like hunkering down into winter feel to it. So we're going to be focusing on knitting this time. I'm actually working on a shawl pattern to go with some of my naturally dyed yarn, and I think it will be a really lovely thing. But because we won't want to be working on knitting the whole weekend, because hands, wrists, which I'd like to knit all day long, we're going to build in other cozy elements. So because it's winter, and because Lucia's house is this amazing old stone Cotswold house, we're going to have a bit of storytelling, so bringing in a fibre fig element by the fireside. There's going to be some relaxation and maybe some meditative bits, and thinking a bit about the forageable things around the area, and just really enjoying sort of that time that winter gives you to sort of nurture yourself and nourish yourself and mend things and rebuild your energy for the coming spring and warmer months ahead. So yes, I will talk a bit about more about that as we plan over the next couple of months. So that was delightful and also exciting about our future plans. But I think that's probably everything for today. It feels like a lot's gone on in the last month, but it's all been good stuff. So that's very nice. And I'm feeling quite happy with the things I've made. I feel like they're really suiting my life, other than the zero waste gather dress. A little reminder to let me know if you're interested in that. Yeah. How are all of your projects? How are you all doing? it'd be great to hear a bit about what you're up to and what you're making. And yeah, I have got a few things planned video-wise coming up. So I'll be doing that skirt tutorial that I mentioned. I'm also doing a bit of a hack of the Hinterland bodice and the Pomona trousers to make a toast-inspired this jumpsuit. Jumpsuit, and I'll let you know how that goes. Doing a video specifically on that. So those are some things that are coming up. And to finish, here's a bit about my dye plants at my allotment and how the garden's coming along. So yes, watch to the end if you'd like to see those, and enjoy this summer if it returns. It's quite overcast today, but I hope you're all doing well, and speak soon. So my German chamomile is flowering. It's got a much headier scent than the Roman chamomile, which is looking awesome, but doesn't really seem to have much of a scent, so I'll give them a bit of a taste test and let you know. The German one, the wild chamomile, is supposed to be tastier for tea, so it's looking like that's what's going to happen. But it's looking very nice. What else have I got going on? Got some new shoots on the valerian. The cosmos that survived are looking good. I've got first bud on there, so that's exciting. Got a couple of others here, and the weld has got a much bigger, and that's the woad over there. And look at this chamomile. It's just lovely. I've even, I think, got some apples on my tree. Exciting. Look at my marshmallow. So soft and velvety. I don't know if I'm going to get much from my Hopi sunflowers this year. I don't think this whole bed is doing very well. It's pretty solid clay. I'm going to mulch it with loads of manure this autumn and winter. These are tiny and they're already starting getting buds. So yeah, my squash is also looking a little bit sorry for itself compared to the ones on my partner's plot. So I think the ground is not really fertile enough and is drying out too quickly. But I kind of thought that might happen. Same with my broom corn. So yeah, this is the bed that's a bit of a dud. But my corn is looking really good. Onions, yeah, potatoes. I'll show you inside my polytunnel as well, and you can see the progress on the tomatoes and indigo. My plum tomatoes and indigo are really coming along. Exciting. I was doing some side shooting earlier, which is where you take off the little bit in the sort of, what do you call it, the elbow of the tomato. Best to do in the morning when they're nice and sort of full and snappable. But they're looking good. I've even got some baby tomatoes, which is very exciting. Indigo's gotten a lot bigger. It's got this bit of a curly leaf, but it's been a really hot day today. And I've just given it a massive soak because I haven't been able to be here for a few days. So hopefully that'll be all right. But it's all going pretty well. Picking some for drying, and then hopefully the plant will branch a bit more as well, and give me more flowers for tea.